My child, this is not just an ordinary moment. This is a sacred hour that I have ordained before you were ever formed in your mother's womb. It is no coincidence that you are hearing these words now. It is not due to chance, nor driven by curiosity or fleeting emotion. It is because I, the one who has watched every step you've taken, have orchestrated this moment to speak the very words your spirit has been longing to hear. My child, I have seen your heart grow heavy with burdens no one else can understand. I have witnessed the way your eyes search for direction, for assurance, for a hand strong enough to hold you steady in times of deep uncertainty. And now I want you to know that hand is mine. And once extended, I never withdraw it. I am still holding you, and I will not let you fall. Do not hear these words as if they were just a fleeting message. Every word I speak is saturated with the breath of life, and as you listen with an open spirit, each sentence becomes a seed planted in the soil of your heart soil, from which I will bring forth a new season of hope. Perhaps you have walked through many long nights with a heavy heart, through days when sleep brought no rest, and each dawn felt like a battle just to keep going. But today, I declare this to you. A new season is beginning within you, not because everything around you is suddenly changing, but because something inside you is awakening to see me, even in the storm. I know how many times you've asked yourself, is there still hope for me? You've sat in silence, hiding tears no one else could see. You've smiled outwardly, so others wouldn't worry, while inwardly your heart was breaking into pieces. But I have not missed a single moment of your sorrow or confusion. Even when you could not find words, I understood the language of your soul. And now, I want you to lift your head. Do not look down into the past any longer. Do not fix your eyes on your failures or your fears. Look up, because there I am, waiting for you with the eyes of a father who never gives up on his beloved child. Do you know why I've chosen this moment to speak to you? Because your soul, though it feels shattered, is actually in the perfect place to receive something new from me. A parched land is the best place for the first rain. A broken vessel is where I pour the freshest, most pure anointing, oil not mixed, not limited by the old. I do not need you to be perfect. I am not waiting for you to get everything right before I come to you. I chose you in your lack, right in the middle of your struggle, because my love is not based on what you do. It is rooted in who I am, and I am the faithful one. My child, if you are longing for change, know this: I am already at work. Your eyes may not yet see it. Your ears may not yet hear it. But my hand is moving even in the stillness. There are things I am preparing for you that, if you were to see them now, you would not believe you are worthy of receiving. But remember, my goodness to you is not a reward for performance. It is a gift of love. I give because I love, not because you have earned. It is by mercy that I open the door, and by faith that you walk through it. So if your heart is ready, let me speak more. Whisper it within, or write it down as a simple yet powerful act. I am listening. Lord, that is not just a phrase, it is the key that unlocks what I am about to do in you. When you speak those words in faith, you join heaven in bringing miracles to earth. That is when you stop being just a listener and become a co-laborer with me in the mission of restoration. I am inviting you to walk with me through the doorway of a new season where expectation replaces despair, where gratitude drives out complaint, and where light dispels every shadow clinging to your soul. Will you take that step, not in your own strength, but with your small faith placed into my steady hand? When you say, "I'm ready," you are not saying you are strong enough, you are saying you are humble enough to let me take your hand. And that, my beloved, is the beginning of every miracle. My precious child, I know deep within you is a silent cry you've never dared to speak aloud. A part of you longs for something to break the cycle you feel trapped in. There are days when you wake up with a flicker of hope, only to go to bed wrapped in multiplied disappointment. I see it. I am not unfamiliar with the tears you wipe away quietly when no one is around. And I am not distracted by the strong exterior you try so hard to maintain for others to see. I see your true heart, and I love it. Not because it's flawless, but because it's honest. You may wonder why the miracle hasn't come, why the rescue seems delayed, why you're still wrestling with burdens that feel too heavy to carry. But child, some treasures cannot be formed in easy days. Some lessons of trust, of endurance, can only be forged in the furnace of trial. Remember, I do not allow hardship to destroy you, but to build something unshakable within you, something no circumstance can ever take away. So while you may feel delayed, I am preparing. Not just preparing the miracle, but preparing you for the miracle. My child, if I were to give you everything you longed for the moment you asked, you might lose it just as quickly as it came. But when I allow you to learn how to walk in the dark, I am teaching you how to hold on to the light when it arrives. When I let you go through seasons that seem silent, it is to train your ears to become attuned enough to discern my voice among the many that fill this world. When you learn to listen to me in the wilderness, you will not be swayed by the noise of the crowd. And it is in that very stillness that I am speaking the deepest truths into your soul. My dear one, I have placed within you a potential you have not yet fully seen. There are gifts, abilities, and wonders lying dormant within you, waiting to be awakened by my presence. And that day is drawing near. Even this very moment, as your heart opens to hear me, is stirring the things that have long been buried inside you. Perhaps it's a dream that was set aside because of circumstances. Perhaps it's a boldness that was buried beneath criticism. Perhaps it's a confidence stolen by past failures. But child, I am calling those things back to life. I am breathing new breath into the dry and barren places of your soul. You have not been left behind. I have not forgotten you while working in the lives of others. I show no partiality. If I have done great things for someone else, I will also do them for you in the way that fits you best, in the timing uniquely designed for your journey. Do not measure yourself by someone else's pace. You are not in a race, but on a path, and I am the one leading you. Every step you've taken, every time you've chosen to keep going instead of giving up, is evidence that you are moving closer to fulfillment. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. Do not overlook slow progress. Do not assume silence means my absence. Even when no dramatic miracle seems to unfold, I am still there, igniting a light of hope within your heart, mending the hidden cracks you didn't know were broken. You may not feel it immediately, but every word I speak today is working like an underground stream, quiet, yet powerful. And one day, you will look back and realize that these seemingly ordinary moments laid the foundation for a future season of abundance. I know patience does not come easily when your soul longs for urgent change, but let me say this to you softly, yet unmistakably: I have not forgotten what you've prayed for. and I am never late. As it is written, for the vision awaits its appointed time, it hastens to the end, it will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Fulfillment is on its way to you, not faster, not slower, but exactly in the time I have appointed. And when it comes, you will understand why it had to happen this way. You may feel weary, but know that the strength you need will be added each day. You may feel alone, but in truth, you are surrounded by divine protection. You may think no one understands, but I do. I see every small detail that no one else notices, and I am using all of it, both the beautiful and the brokenness, weave together a masterpiece more radiant than anything you have ever imagined. All I ask is that you keep walking with me on a step, and then another, and in every step, you will discover a deeper part of yourself and a greater revelation of my heart. Beloved child, I want you to take a moment in stillness and feel the breath of life rising in your chest. It is not just air, it is proof that my grace is still at work in you. The things you often take for granted, waking up each morning, having a place to shelter, a heart still beating, these are all signs that I am faithfully guarding and sustaining you every moment. Whether or not you feel worthy, I continue to give them to you without fail, because I am a kind Father, rich in mercy. And if I have not withheld the simplest of gifts, then you can trust that the greater promises I've made will surely come in their appointed time. Sometimes, it is in the driest seasons that your roots of faith are growing the deepest. On the surface, nothing may appear significant, but within, I am strengthening your soul beyond what the eye can see. I am using these hardest days to build a firm foundation for eternal blessings far greater than you ever dared to dream. You are not being overlooked, you are being established. You are not being delayed, you are being refined. And every second you choose to keep believing me is another moment in which you open the door for me to reveal my power more gloriously in your life. I did not come merely to soothe your wounds, but to heal them at the root. I do not want to grant you a temporary miracle, but a life completely transformed. I do not simply aim to rescue you from your circumstances, but to liberate you from every limiting thought that has bound you for far too long. There are things you have believed to be truth, but in reality, they are scars from wounds you have yet to release. And now, I am leading you to a place of honest encounter, where you can look directly into your fear, your shame, and your doubt without trembling, because I am there, right at the center of those things, not to condemn, but to set you free. Have you ever thought that you disappointed me? Have there been moments when you believed that because of your stumbling, because of your wrong decisions, I turned my back on you, my child? Let me make this clear once and for all. There is nothing you could do that would ever make me stop loving you. No sin is greater than my mercy. No distance is deeper than the reach of my open arms. When you turn back, even if it's just a single step, I come running toward you. When you sigh, feeling unworthy, y declare, you are mine. And when you think it's all over, I am only just beginning. I want you to know that my provision is not limited to material needs. It includes peace of mind, emotional stability, and guidance in pivotal decisions. You may have grown accustomed to calculating everything through your own understanding, but now I am calling you to let go, not to abandon responsibility, but to stop striving to control everything by your own strength. when you pause to ask me, when you choose to step back so that I can step in. That is when you open the way for what far exceeds your imagination. Do not merely expect me to act according to your thoughts believe, instead that I can do exceedingly more than all of them. My child, in this journey, I want you to learn how to live, not just to endure, but to overcome, not overcome in the world's definition, but the kind that comes from knowing to whom you belong. It is when you stand in adversity yet remain in peace, when you are misunderstood but not torn down, when you are delayed yet do not retreat. That is true faith, and that faith is being matured in you, day by day. When you learn to trust me in the smallest things, you will have strength enough to believe me for the greatest. I never stop working, even when you are resting. I never stop loving, even when you feel unworthy. I never stop waiting, even when you forget me for a time. And now, as you open your heart to receive, I am ready to pour out. You don't need to wonder whether I truly care, because the very fact that you are hearing this, that your heart is stirred in this moment, is proof that I am closer to you than ever before. Let these words be the anchor of your soul. When the winds of life blow, when you are surrounded by troubling news, when your heart begins to waver, return here. Remember that there is one who is speaking to you, calling you by name, seeing what others overlook. And that one is me, the living one, the unchanging one. I have never forgotten what I promised you, and I will not cease working until it comes to pass. You are not late to your destiny. You are not off track from the good I have prepared. Only one thing is required. Keep walking with me. Just one step, each day, and I will do the rest. My child, now that your heart has quieted, now that the swirl of thoughts has somewhat settled, I want to speak to you about the purpose I placed in you before the world was even formed. You are not a random product of circumstances, nor the accidental result of a chain of events. You are a clear intention, a deliberate design, the embodiment of a divine plan written by my own hand. Before anyone assigned you an identity, before life tried to shape you into someone else, I looked at you and called you precious. I did not only form your body, I breathed life into your soul and placed within you something no one else can replicate. There are parts of you the world does not understand, because they did not come from the world. They came from heaven. It is your spiritual sensitivity, your tender heart that feels the pain of others, your ability to perceive things beyond words. I placed those gifts in you, not to make you strange, but so you could walk in the deep leading of my spirit. You were not created to blend in, but to shine, not to follow the crowd, but to stand firm in truth amidst chaos. So do not be surprised when you feel you don't fit the usual mold. Do not rush to place yourself into a box just to be accepted. You were not meant for the ordinary. You were born to reflect my glory. Have you ever felt different? Have you ever felt out of place among people who always seemed to know exactly what they were doing, while you were still searching for direction? That is not a flaw, it is the mark of a calling. Those chosen for great purposes often walk through seasons of being misunderstood. You are not alone in that. Remember Joseph, the dreamer from heaven who was sold by his own brothers. Remember Moses, who grew up between two worlds, belonging fully to neither the Egyptians nor the Hebrews. And remember David, the forgotten shepherd boy among his brothers, chosen to be king. They all knew what it felt like to not belong, but it was in that very feeling that I was preparing them for a mission far greater than they could imagine. And you, my beloved one, the seasons in which you felt abandoned were actually the places where I was deepening the roots of your faith. The moments when others failed to see your worth were the very moments I was refining you in hiddenness. For there are things that cannot grow under the spotlight, they only flourish in the secret place. Remember this, my timing is never based on favorable circumstances, but on your readiness. I do not merely prepare the external, I prepare you from within. Because if you enter into greatness before your heart is steady, you will not be able to sustain it. Yet when you are filled with wisdom and humility, you will not only preserve the blessing, but become a vessel of blessing for many others. I give you good things, but I also long to make you a good thing for your generation. My child, when I look at your life, I do not just see what you have or haven't done. I see the potential you have yet to discover. I see the beauty that was sown in your heart before you even knew my name. I see the abilities, the virtues, the fragments I uniquely designed for you ons no one else can duplicate. No one else can replace. Even if you have not yet fully seen that value, I have never stopped believing in you. I have never regretted creating you, even on the days you stumble. Even when you doubt yourself, one thing remains unchanged. You belong to me, and your life carries eternal meaning. Perhaps you've wondered, are the good things I've heard truly meant for someone like me? Could a person like me really be used for something divine? And I say to you, not only yes, but this is the very destiny you were created to walk in. Do not think that only those who rise from greatness can accomplish great things. I often choose what is overlooked to silence what is proud. I often call the weak to reveal my strength. So do not let your past define your future. Do not let your failures blur the words I have spoken. Let me, the one who knows the beginning and the end, tell you who you really are. You are a light set in the darkness to shine. You are the salt of the earth, not just to survive, but to preserve what is good, to guard the truth in a world losing its grip on faith. You were not called merely to get by, but to live with purpose, and that purpose is not found in noise, but in obedience. It is not measured by fame, but by faithfulness. Wherever you are, whatever you do, if you do it with honesty and love, then you are already living the calling I have appointed for you. My dear one, do not admire others to the point that you forget the treasure you carry within. Be cautious of comparison. The enemy will always try to convince you that you are not enough, that you're falling behind, that you will never amount to anything of value. But hear this clearly. The very things you see as limitations are where I place my power. The weaknesses you try to hide are where I choose to reveal my grace. I did not choose you because you were better. I chose you because you were marked. And that mark cannot be erased by failure, circumstances, or the words of others. I used a staff in Moses' hand to part the sea. I used David's small stone to strike down a giant. I used Jeremiah's trembling voice to declare truth. And I will also use what you already have, no matter how little, no matter how incomplete, to accomplish something great. I do not need you to be ready by the world's standards. I need your heart to be willing. When you give me what is small, I will cause it to multiply in ways you cannot imagine. Not because it is easy, but because I am powerful. So do not hesitate to step forward. Even if your steps are trembling, even if you do not yet see where the road leads. Remember, you are not walking alone. I will go with you. I will light your path. I will heal every wound, and I will lift you up every time your heart grows weary. My presence does not only go before you, it dwells within you. When you say, Lord, lead me, that is the moment when the door of wisdom swings wide open. Not because you know every answer, but because you have chosen to hold the hand of the one who does. My child, let me make this clear. Nothing that has happened in your life is wasted if you place it back into my hands. Even the years you thought were lost, I can turn into seasons of training. Even the failures that broke your heart, I can use as precious lessons for many others. I am the one who brings beauty from ashes. I do not need ideal conditions. I only need a surrendered heart. My beloved child, I know there are days when your heart feels weary, not because you haven't tried, but because you've tried so hard without seeing anything clearly. There are moments when you stand between two realities. On one side is what I have promised, and on the other is the harsh reality you face. And in the space between those two, your mind begins to fill with questions. You wonder, did I mishear God's voice? Did I start something I cannot finish? Or perhaps he chose the wrong person. But my child, I never choose wrongly, and my word never returns void. Doubt is not condemnation. It is an invitation for you to dig deeper in faith. I do not reject you simply because you have moments of weakness. The heroes of faith, from Scripture, also had their moments of doubt. They fled. They complained. They wrestled. But what marked them wasn't that they were never afraid. It was that they chose to return, to obey again, to believe me once more, even without any guarantee before their eyes. And that is what I am inviting you to do now. I do not ask you to be perfect only to keep choosing to believe. Have you noticed that I rarely give all the details at once? When I called Abraham, I simply told him to go, without revealing the destination. When I sent Jonah, I did not explain what would happen in Nineveh. When I led Israel out of Egypt, I guided them by cloud by day and fire by night, step by step, not by a complete map. For faith is not born in absolute certainty, but in the decision to trust me despite what you see. And it is in that very process that you learn something more valuable than the destination itself, the intimacy of walking with the one who leads. You do not need to know everything in order to take a step. I do not require you to have all the answers. I simply call you to take the first step in obedience. For true faith always requires action, not just feeling. What you believe will reveal itself through how you live through the decisions you make each day. I do not expect you to have a grand faith immediately. I only desire that you begin with the smallest things, reading my word even when you feel lost, praying even when no answers come, loving others even when you yourself need comfort. And each small act will become a powerful step toward your destiny. Do not let changing emotions determine your faith. There will be days when you do not feel my nearness, but I am not bound by your feelings. I do not depart just because you are tired or discouraged. Feelings shifty. Do not. When you feel nothing, let remembrance become your faith. Recall the times I provided, healed, protected, and carried you through storms. Let that be the foundation for what I will continue to do. My child, in everything I allow on your journey, there is purpose. Not all things originate from me, but I can use all things to train you. Every trial is a classroom. Every wound can become a door to compassion. Every fall is a chance to learn how to rise stronger. And when you look back, you will see that what seemed to be obstacles were actually places where I deepened your spiritual roots. so that you would not be shaken when it's time to bear fruit. What I am building in you is not just for the present. It is preparation for the next season, where you will no longer only be a receiver but a giver. One day, someone will come to you confused and broken, and you will look at them and say, "I've been there, and it was the Lord who rescued me." Your journey will become the staff that guides others. And in that moment, you will understand the reason behind all that you endured. Do not despise the process. Do not disregard the season you are in. When you are faithful in little, you are proving that you can be entrusted with much. When you continue to worship even without seeing miracles, you are laying a firm foundation for the coming rain of blessing. When you choose to speak words of trust instead of complaint, you are clearing the path for me to move powerfully. And I am watching not to judge, but to encourage. I see every silent effort, every hidden tear, every whispered word of faith spoken when no one else knew. And I will not let any of it be in vain. So, keep walking. Even a slow step is still progress. I do not measure faith by speed, but by faithfulness. And every step you take with me is a step closer to what I have promised. My child, there are seasons when I say, "Nothing new," not because I have withdrawn, but because I am inviting you into deeper trust. Not all silence means absence. Sometimes, it is the most profound presence, like when I stood in the storm and simply said, "Peace, be still." It is in those times when heaven seems quiet that I am watching how you respond to what I have already spoken. Do you follow me only when feelings are vivid, or do you remain faithful even when nothing seems clear? Maturity is not born in applause or instant affirmation, but in the moments when you walk alone, guided only by my word as your lamp. Have you ever wondered why some trials persist? Why your prayers seem unanswered? You silently ask, "Lord, have you forgotten me?" And I answer, "No, I have never forgotten. Your name is engraved on the palm of my hand, and every breath you take still echoes in my heart daily." But sometimes, my answer is not now, but wait, and not because I delay, but because I am doing more than you can imagine behind the curtain, beyond what human eyes can see. I am not only preparing the external, I am shaping your heart so that when what is coming finally arrives, you will be able to receive it without being overwhelmed. My dear child, waiting is not a punishment, it is the furnace of faith. In that furnace, I remove what is unnecessary. I separate you from dependence on feelings and lead you into full reliance on truth. I do not intend for you to live only by fleeting miracles, but to learn to walk in my enduring provision. A person of strong faith is not someone who is always healed instantly, but one who still praises me while waiting for healing. Not someone who always sees doors open, but one who still trusts me when every way seems shut. I know fear will come knocking at the door of your mind, especially when you don't see results. It will whisper that you've been forgotten, that every promise was an illusion. But I want you to learn to recognize its voice, so you know how to resist it rather than invite it in. Fear is not a companion, it is a thief. It steals peace, clouds your vision, and causes you to doubt what I have already spoken. Do not let it speak louder than my word within you. Respond to fear with truth. When it says, "You will not make it," declare, "My Lord is my Redeemer." When it says, "No one will help you," affirm, "The Lord is my shepherd." When it threatens, "Everything will fall apart," say, I am built upon the unshakable rock. Lo, my child, you are not fighting alone. I have sent angels to guard you, to fight battles you cannot see. There are things that have been kept from harming you, not because of luck, but because of divine intervention. I have shielded you from missteps that were not part of your destiny. I have closed doors that once caused you sorrow, only to open ones that are truer, better, and deeper. You may not see it now, but at the appointed time, you will understand. Every delay was woven with mercy. And even now, I am not standing at a distance. I am near, closer than the breath you just took. Every time you called on me, I answered, though not always in the way you expected. I may have answered through a friend showing sincere love, through a song that calmed your heart, through a verse from Scripture read at the perfect moment, or even through silence so that you would learn, I am still, I am, even when no sign is visible. Open your heart to the many ways I speak, and you will realize I have never been silent only that you needed a new frequency to hear me clearly. Do not wait until everything is convenient to worship me. It is in the hardest moments that your praise resounds the loudest in heaven. It is when tears fall, and yet you still lift your eyes to the heavens and say, I believe, that heaven and earth converge and angels stand in reverence. Faith does not need noise. It grows in the quiet, in the emptiness where only I and my word remain. And from that deep place, I will bring forth a new season, not just for you, but for those watching your journey. My beloved one, you may not realize it, but it is precisely in the season where nothing seems to be happening outwardly that I am doing my deepest work within you. The world rushes to chase visible outcomes, but I am focused on transformation at the root. I do not build your life like a fragile shelter. I lay a deep and firm foundation so that when storms come, you will not be swept away. And to do that, I sometimes allow seasons of dryness not as punishment, but so that genuine faith can be forged, so that your heart stops leaning on what is temporary and learns to cling to what cannot be shaken. My child, there is a beauty that can only be revealed in moonless nights, a light that only appears when all else is dark, and a kind of peace, true peace, that is formed only when your heart no longer demands control. I am teaching you how to live not by emotion, not by circumstance, but by trust, knowing that I am faithful even when you see no change. That is not illusion, it is spiritual maturity. When you no longer need all the answers in order to keep trusting me, that is when you are stronger than ever. I know it is not easy. I know there are days you whisper, Lord, just one sign, to let me know you're still at work. But it is in the days with no sign that I am inviting you deeper into true connection with me. Not for the gifts, but for who I am. Because if your love for me only exists when results come, it will falter when unwanted things arrive. But if you learn to love me even when nothing seems to benefit you, then that love cannot be broken. It will become the foundation for everything else in your life, and the very thing that brings heaven more joy than any miracle. My child, let me say it again. True faith does not shout in crowded squares, but grows in the secret place, when you choose to praise me even with an empty heart. Every morning you rise, open your eyes, and quietly whisper, Lord, today I still choose to believe. You are laying another stone in the spiritual temple I am building within you. That is where I dwell not in outward splendor, but in quiet, steadfast faithfulness. I see it, and I treasure it more than anything outwardly impressive. Do not measure your progress by the standards of the world. You may not be advancing in your career like others, nor receiving the recognition that those around you seem to enjoy, but what I am doing in you surpasses the applause of man. I am forming within you a spirit that cannot be broken, a heart that is unmoved by criticism, a will that will not bend in the face of adversity. And it is that very spirit that will become the key to doors no one else can shut, not because you are deemed worthy in the eyes of people, but because you have stood firm before me, my child. Do you remember those early days when you first began to seek me, when your heart was still tender, and a single word from me could bring you to tears? I remember every time you said to me, "No matter what happens, I will follow you," and I have never forgotten those words. I do not require you to be strong forever. I know there are seasons when your heart feels depleted, but what moves me is not perfection, but the moments when, in your weakness, you still whisper, "I will not give up." When you still kneel in silence, when you lift your hands in worship, even though your lips have no song. This is true faith, and it stirs all of heaven. There are things you once longed for but have yet to see. There are dreams you once carried close but have laid aside because reality felt too harsh. But let me speak this deep into your soul. Nothing is over unless I have spoken the final word. Even what you've shelved away, I can breathe new life into. Nothing I touch remains broken. No field is too barren for me to make it bloom. If I have ever spoken a word to you, I also hold the power to bring it to pass in the way, at the time, and through the means that are best. So keep your heart soft. Do not let bitterness seep in and freeze the soil where I long to plant new seeds. Keep your heart ready not just to receive blessings, but to welcome me. Nothing is more precious than my presence in you. Every dream, every breakthrough flows from that one thing. When you have me, you have everything. And when you know I am with you, then nothing is meaningless. No moment is wasted. No season is lost. My dear child, you are the beloved one whom I am patiently refining. And even if you don't see anything new, it is in this very perseverance that you are growing in a way heaven rejoices over. I delight in your quiet faithfulness, and I will reward it in a way no one will be able to deny. My child, when I look at you, I do not merely see a person trying to survive the currents of life. I see a soul learning to soar through adversity. I see a child steadily stepping into deeper understanding of themselves in my light. Do not let current limitations blur the vision I've placed within you. Even if you're only taking small steps, even if no one acknowledges what you carry, I who planted eternal seeds within you, watching every beat of faithfulness you sustain. What you're living through is not meaningless. It is producing eternal value that you will one day clearly see. You may think delay is failure, but I call it preparation. You may long for things to happen faster, but I am building something more enduring. While you await the outcome, I am shaping your inner being. While you count the days in waiting, I am adding strength you don't yet know you need. I don't just want you to enter the miracle, I want you to be ready to carry it. Many are touched by blessings, but not all have the heart to sustain them. That is why I focus first on your inner life. Because when the spirit is whole, no external circumstance can shake you. Look at what you've already overcome, how many times you thought you were breaking, and yet you are still here. There are spiritual battles you cannot name, but I saw them. I was there in every sleepless night, in every silent sigh no one else heard, in every fragile prayer you offered in the dark. I never demanded that you be strong throughout. I only asked that you return, that you still come to me, that you keep your heart soft in my presence. And what you didn't know was this: in every one of those moments, the roots of your faith were growing deeper. No one else saw it, but I did. And I call that victory, my child. The healing I bring is not the quick kind that covers up the evidence. I do not paint over old cracks with a fresh coat. I heal from within, from the very place where the wound began. I go down to the root of fear, to the distortions in belief, to the deep sense of lack you've carried since childhood. And there, I place my hand gentle, yet sure. I do not soothe pain with shallow promises. I hold you with truth, that you are loved even before you are healed, that you are valuable even in the process, and that I do not love you less when you are weak indeed. It is then that I draw closest to you. You don't have to pretend before me. I do not love the facade of strength. I love a truthful heart. When you open up and let me see your fragility, when you say honestly to me, I'm hurting. It is not distance that forms between yous, it is nearness. Humility is the bridge between me and you, and that very surrender from the depths of your soul is what shakes heaven. You don't need to do something grand to impress me. You only need to keep your heart close, to keep seeking me. And what I do in you will exceed even your boldest prayers. Remember that my love is not based on your performance. I do not count your victories to determine your worth. I look at the heart, and your heart, even though it has stumbled, has always returned. That is what pleases me. I do not ask you to be perfect. I ask you to be honest. I do not require you to always be joyful. I invite you to bring even your tears to me. And in the moment you dare to be real, I will truly heal. Do not be afraid that you have wasted too much time, that the years gone by are beyond redemption. I am the one who can cause barren fields to bloom with life after a single rain. I am the one who can restore manifold what was once lost. Nothing I touch ever remains the same. If you allow me to enter, I will not only wipe away your tears, I will turn them into streams that refresh others. What once hurt you will become a tool of healing. What once caused you to fall will become the foundation upon which you help others stand. And my child, the most beautiful part is not what you have seen, but what is still ahead. You are only at the beginning of a glorious journey. I am not finished with you. It is never too late to begin again when you begin again with me. Every day lived with me is a new day unfolding. You are no longer bound by former failures. When I say, move forward, then the past loses its hold on you. And now, I speak this over you. Move forward, my beloved, not by striving, but by surrender, not with exhausted willpower, but with simple faith that says, if the Lord is still here, then I still have hope. And cling to that declaration, let it become your lifeline in dark seasons. And I promise you, the days ahead will not be like the days before, not because you are more deserving, but because you have learned to rely on me. And with a soul like that, nothing is impossible. My beloved, it is time for me to lead you out of the land you have grown accustomed to, not to confuse you, but to bring you into something greater than you ever dared to dream. I know that safety holds great allure. Familiar things, 7, when they stifle your spirit, can offer a sense of control, but you were not created to dwell forever in predictability. I did not place a sacred spirit within you just for you to live a life of ease. I placed within you a courage that comes from heaven, a spirit called to rise above the waves, not hide upon the shore. You have stayed in this place too long, the place of hesitation, of unfinished plans, of delayed dreams. And I declare to you, it is time to shift, not a shift in geography, but in posture, from one who waits to one who acts, from one who contemplates to one who walks, from one who doubts to one who declares. I know you still have many unanswered questions, many details unclear, but I do not require you to understand everything. I simply invite you to begin, and in that beginning, I will reveal the rest. Do not let fear paralyze your faith. Do not wait until you feel completely ready before you step out. True readiness is not found in controlling every variable, but in believing that I will go with you. When you walk with me, each step becomes a path to miracles. The things I have placed in your heart dreams, ideas, visions are not for you to bury, but to sow and nurture. They are seeds from heaven. And when you act in obedience, I will send the rain in due season. But if you hold them tightly in fear of failure, they cannot grow. It is time to lift your head and see beyond the limits you once accepted. I have allowed you to journey this far not so you would stop halfway, but so you would have the strength to enter what I have prepared. What you've been through has not just been trial, it has been training. The rejections, the stumbles, the unfulfilled dreams, they were the shell through which I peeled back what truly lives inside you. And now, when I say, step out, it is because you are read even if you don't yet see it. I know there are things still unresolved. You look at the challenges and quietly wonder, how can I begin when I still lack so much, when I don't yet have enough money, skills, or connections? But I ask you, who is your provider? Who is the source of every good thing? If you truly believe I am the one who makes a way, then what you lack is not a barrier, it is simply the backdrop for me to reveal my power. I am not looking for the qualified, I choose the willing, and when you offer the little you have, I will do what you cannot. Do you remember the little boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish? He didn't have much, but he placed what he had into my hands, and I multiplied it to feed thousands. And what about you? That small thing you're holding in your heart, a simple idea, a hidden ability, an opportunity that seems faint, if you surrender it to me, I will do what you could never imagine. But first, you must take a step. True faith is not just in what you say, but in how you walk. When you move forward, even without seeing the path clearly, you are declaring, the Lord is my light. Oh, my child, walking with me does not mean everything will be easy. There will be days when your heart wavers, moments when you question whether you're on the right path. It is within that very process that I will teach you to recognize my voice more clearly. When no choice seems obvious, when every road is uncertain, that is when you learn to discern my voice above all others. And each time, you will grow not just in understanding, but in true relationship with me. Remember this, the goal is not merely the destination, but the transformation that happens along the journey. I do not lead you into deep waters to see you drown, but to teach you how to swim with wings of faith. And you will not swim alone. I am there upholding, guiding, and waiting on the other side of each wave. Even when you tremble, even when you feel unworthy, if you obey, I will do great things through you, not because you are extraordinary, but because I am faithful, the one who never abandons those willing to walk with me. My beloved, obedience is not easy in a world filled with conflicting voices. You live among endless choices, nuances, and temptations that appear wise but pull you away from true life. To obey when you don't yet understand, when everything inside you still wrestles, is a courageous act that heaven treasures deeply. I am not seeking mechanical compliance. I long for a heart that obeys out of lova, sincere response to my word, not out of fear of rejection, but from trust in the one who has loved you with an everlasting love. I know there have been times when you believed obedience simply meant doing what you were told, but in truth, it goes much deeper. It is a shift in how you see the world, how you see yourself, and how you see me. When you obey, you are acknowledging that my purpose is higher than the plans you hold. You are accepting that the wisdom of heaven does not need to align with the logic of earth. And in that surrender, you will find that you are not losing freedom, but being led into true freedom. I see how you struggle between competing voices, what you want and what I ask. I see the tug of war inside you, especially when I ask you to release something that once brought comfort. But sometimes I must call you to lay down what is not wrong, so you can receive what is better. Sometimes I do not explain everything right away, not because I am unwilling to share, but because if I showed you the full plan, you might rely on knowledge instead of on me. And I don't want to be just part of your calculations. I want to be the center. Have you ever wondered why some of the things I promised have not yet come to pass? Have you felt like you're doing the right thing but seeing no result? I know how that can discourage you. But remember, obedience is not the doorway to instant reward, it is the road that leads to transformation. When you obey, you are not just fulfilling what I've said, you are allowing your mind to be renewed. Every time you choose my will over your own, you are reshaping the inner structure of your being to align more fully with heaven. And a renewed mind begins to see what the natural eye cannot. You'll start to recognize my fingerprints in the smallest of things. You'll become more sensitive to the leading of the Holy Spirit. You will no longer chase what appears to be success on the outside, but instead will be drawn to what carries lasting life. Your mind will no longer be shackled by comparison, but will rest in the affirmation that comes from me. True rest does not come from everything going your way, but from an inner peace that says you're on the right path even if the winds are against you. When your mind is renewed, you will no longer fear change. You will no longer be haunted by the past. What once discouraged you will become the soil for your growth. What once made you retreat will become the very place you display courage. Because by then, you will know I am the one holding the wheel, and I never lose direction. You will not need to see every mile ahead, because your heart will have learned to trust the one who leads the way. And my child, when you act in faith, even if it's small, even if it trembles, heaven does not look away. Every step you take in obedience is a declaration to the universe. I trust the Lord, and that declaration is never in vain. I am watching every step you take, and I will not let your sacrifice be forgotten. I am moving resources from heaven in response to the faith you have shown. You may not see it immediately, but every seed of obedience will bear fruit in its appointed season. Some may think that heaven only responds to eloquent prayers, but my child, I hear even the sigh. I respond even to the smallest act when you say no to what is wrong, simply to keep your heart pure. I see when you choose silence over retaliation, I take note when you place others' needs above your own. I witness every time you step outside your comfort zone to obey what I have spoken, though no one sees, though no one understands, and what you do in secret, I will reward in the open. Do you remember the widow in the temple who gave 2 small coins? People disregarded her, but I praised her, because I saw the Motivia heart wholly surrendered, without condition. You may think you have nothing great to offer, but I do not ask for grandeur. I seek sincerity, and when you give the smallest thing with a great heart, I will use it for miracles. So, my child, do not doubt the power of simple yet sincere acts. Do not measure obedience by what is visible. What matters is not how much you do, but for whom you do it. And if what you do is for me, then nothing is wasted. I want you to know that every step of obedience does not only shift circumstance, it transforms you. You are no longer the same person you were the day I first called your name in the quiet, through each uncertain season, through every moment you chose to believe rather than fear. I have been forming a new creation in you, bolder, deeper, stronger in faith. And now, I am ushering you into a new season, no longer walking timidly, but walking with confidence, no longer acting out of fear, but moving with inner assurance. You have learned to trust me when nothing made sense. You have remained faithful even when you saw no reward, and that has built in you a foundation no one can shake. I am inviting you to build upon that foundation with spiritual boldness, not recklessness or haste, but a holy courage, the kind that says, "The Lord has spoken, so I will walk, even if nothing around me aligns." Because when you walk in what I've placed in your heart, you never walk alone. I go before you to prepare the way. I go behind you to protect. I walk beside you to uphold. Do not think that boldness is reserved for the extraordinary. It is the fruit of a process I have led you through. It was when you said, "I'm not enough," that I gave you strength. It was when you said, "I'm unsure," that I placed confirmation in your spirit. And every time you chose to overcome fear and trust me a little more, you advanced another step in maturity. You don't have to wait until the trembling stops to take action. You only need to know that I am the one who calls you, and that is enough. My beloved child, the world around you may not understand your steps. Some might question, may scoff, may even mock what you are doing. But you do not live to be approved by the crowd. You live to please the one who saved you. And I, your God, I am smiling over every simple yet steadfast act you are taking. I see when you embark on a project I stirred within you, even with no guarantees. I see when you choose to serve others, even while your own soul needs lifting. I see when you dare to speak what I revealed to you, even when it leaves you standing alone. And I remember all of it. Do not wait for perfect circumstances to act. If you keep waiting for everything to line up, you will forever be stuck in delay. But if you act on just a word from me, then you are building your life upon the rock. For truly, it is not the circumstance that determines the outcome, it is obedience merged with heavenly power. When you walk in my word, you walk in the current of miracles. You don't need a mighty wind or a dramatic sign, just one faith-filled step. And heaven responds, "My child, I have used what the world saw as ordinary to make history." A young village girl gave birth to the Savior. An uneducated fisherman became a pillar of the early church. A man who once persecuted me became the most enduring missionary. none of them began their journey from a place of perfection. They began with a single yes. And I did the rest. And are you willing to say yes once more? Even without all the answers, will you dare to step out of hiding to do what I am igniting in your heart? You don't need to do something great all at once. You just need to keep moving forward. And as you walk, remember, I am not only the one who sends, I am the one who rewards. I am not blind to your hidden sacrifices. Not a single act of faith is in vain. You may not see the return immediately, but my reward is never late. I will come at the appointed time, never early. Never delayed to give you what eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and the heart has not imagined. For I am the one who promised, and I keep my word. Remember what is written, the Lord is a shield to all who take refuge in him. He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Psalm 18:30. Hebrews 11:6. My child, the time has come for me to lift the veil so that you may see the truth behind the battles you are facing. Not everything you are going through originates from circumstances. There are battles unfolding in the depths of the spiritual realm, where the enemy silently sows fatigue, doubt, and hidden fear into your heart, until you no longer recognize yourself. You thought you were simply going through a difficult phase like everyone else, but you didn't know there were invisible chains that have held you back for too long. And today, I have come to break those chains, to bring you out of the shadows as one redeemed, standing firm in the glory I destined for you from the beginning. Have you noticed how weary thoughts keep repeating in your mind? That even when you pray, even when you read my word, there is still something that weighs heavily upon your soul. That is not just sadness. It is part of a spiritual battle in which the enemy tries to drown you in confusion so that you won't dare step into my promises. But I declare, you are no longer oppressed. You are the one who has been set free, the survivor of every trial by fire. And now I myself will remove the veil over your spirit so that you can clearly see who you are in my eyes. Do not let your past define your identity. I did not call you by a name attached to failure. I call you by a new name, the beloved, the chosen, the overcomer. The enemy tried to label you not good enough, a failure, someone who will never achieve anything great. But I have come to strip away each of those lies and give you a name that no one can erase, mine. Not because you've never failed, but because I have redeemed you through my sacrifice. And that alone is enough to cancel every accusation. My child, listen closely. No one can imprison your mind unless you agree with the lie. Deception is the enemy's primary weapon. It doesn't always strike directly. It only needs to plant a quiet thought. You can't. And, my child, every time you accept that thought, you are placing the shackles on your own feet. But today I say, rise up. I give you the authority to reject every false word, to strip off the ashes and put on a garment of glory. It is time for you to declare what I have spoken, rather than repeat what fear whispers in your ear. You were not created just to survive, you were made to conquer. But true victory begins within, from the place where you no longer allow the enemy to govern your thoughts, where you stop letting emotions dictate your path, and instead allow my word to be your foundation. I do not speak merely to comfort, I speak to commission you to act. And the first action you must take is to refuse to remain in bondage. Say to yourself, with the authority I have given you, I will no longer be pulled back by lies. I will no longer remain silent when my voice has the power to break chains. I Because when you begin to speak, heaven moves. When you declare truth, darkness must retreat. Not because your voice is loud, but because you are speaking in alignment with the Father's will. Every word you utter in agreement with my word becomes a sword cutting through invisible chaos. And when your spoken word is joined with acts of faith, entire spiritual territories that were once occupied will be reclaimed. Do you see it? The areas in your life that once felt imprisoned, your emotions, your finances, your family, your dreams are beginning to shift as you stand in the authority I have bestowed upon you. Look again, my beloved. Are there things you thought were lost now beginning to stir? Can you feel a rising, however faint, within your spirit? This is not your imagination. It is a sign that the bondage is breaking, not because you freed yourself, but because you allowed me to intervene. And once I move, no force can stop me. Once I say, enough, every chain must fall. Once I step into your spiritual space, truth will drive out every covering of deceit. And, my child, from this day forward, you will not fight passively. You will no longer simply wait for help. You will become the one who brings help to others. What I am doing within you will not end with you. It will overflow into the lives around you. As you walk in freedom, those around you will be awakened. As you live as one redeemed, you will silently unlock the prison doors for those still living as captives. I did not rescue you merely for your peace. I restored you so that you may become a vessel of power. Be ready, my child. The days of gloom are withdrawing. The clouds are dispersing. A new sky is opening ahead. And you, not a weak version, not a retreating soul, but you, the one who has been set free, will walk in the light as the true child of a king who never loses a battle. My beloved child, when I break the chains that bind you, I do not stop at deliverance. I always act in fullness. I do not merely pull you out of the pit, I place you in a position of honor. I did not save you just to leave you in neutrality. Avoiding evil, I freed you to step into what was destined for you from before the foundation of the world, the place of an heir, one who is sent, one who carries influence in my kingdom. For you are the chosen one, not to remain hidden, but to rise, not to fear, but to reign, not to shrink back, but to step forward and glorify my name in a darkening age. There is a calling you once dared not dream of, because you believed you were not enough. But now I say, you are not called according to your standard, but by my authority. I call you a citizen of heaven. I call you the temple of the living one. I call you a messenger of light in a world full of shadows. You are no longer one who merely survives. You are one who carries the life of heaven, sent to shift atmospheres, unlock destiny, and establish the divine on earth. But before you operate in that position, you must know this. The restoration I give does not merely heal old wounds, it restores the authority you once lost, perhaps in the past, because of pain, because of fear. You slowly let go of what I had entrusted to you. You once ignored the calling, compromised with circumstances, chose to step back when you should have stepped forward. I saw it all, but I did not condemn you. I waited not because you had to become worthy to be given back what was yours, but because restoration always arrives when the heart is ready to receive it in humility. Now, you are different. You have come to value my presence more than fleeting dreams. You have tasted the emptiness of living without purpose. And that is the moment I say, rise, and put on the mantle of your calling. You do not need to start over. I am not bringing you back to the starting line. I am returning you to the divine flow of my heavenly plan. The years you thought were lost, I will redeem. The seasons you believed were missed, I will cause to bloom in a single moment. For I am the one who can turn barren years into fruitful fields. You are not only forgiven, you are reinstated. You are not only healed, you are empowered. I am placing in your hands what you were once too immature to hold. Now, with a heart refined through trial, and a faith no longer fragile, I entrust to you the keys to set others free, keys to open pathways for your family, keys to shift the spiritual atmosphere where you live and work. And with each key comes authority that flows from my presence and an external power, but an internal strength that cannot be broken. You will feel this. The words you speak now carry a different weight. Not because you are exalted, but because you speak from a place of restoration. When one who was once broken, but now lives, speaks, their words carry healing. When one who was forgotten yet still chose to believe intercedes, their prayers shake heaven and earth. You are that person. Every old wound, when placed in my hands, will become anointing oil for others. What once made you weep will now dry the tears of many. Do not hesitate to step into this new role. Do not let the feeling of not enough hold you back. I have called you, and I will equip you. I have chosen you, and I will sustain you. I did not bring you to the middle of the river to let go of your hand. I will continue to walk with you as I did when you were weak. But now, I will act through you with greater strength. There will be moments when you enter circumstances you've never faced, and you won't know what to do. But in those moments, my Spirit will teach you, my word will come alive, and my own hand will move. Do not fear the new responsibilities. Do not let the greatness of the mission cause you to shrink back. I was in the fire with the 3 young men in Babylon. I shut the lions' mouths before Daniel. I parted the Jordan River before my people, and I will walk with you in every assignment I give. My presence will be the cool shade in the desert, the fire that lights your path through the night. I am not only the authority, I am the finisher. So, my child, lift your head. Walk no longer in timidity. Act no longer with hesitation. Not because you are always strong, but because you know who walks with you. Let every step you take be the mark of one who was once bound, but is now restored, not to live for yourself, but to live for the one who rescued you with a love that never fades. My child, when a soul is restored and steps into its appointed place, the heavens move. Doors that were long shut in your life do not open simply because the time has come. They open because you now stand in the right place, with the right heart. There are gates that respond only to the voice of one who knows what they carry. And now, as you recognize that my power within you is not just for survival, but for influence, for proclamation, for deliverance, entire spiritual territories will begin to shift because of your footsteps. I did not restore you so you could remain in safety. I healed you so you could enter a new sphere of influence, where every word you speak will sow eternal seeds, where every place your gaze falls will awaken life. You used to live seeking validation, but from now on, it is my presence within you that will affirm who you are. You do not need to impress anyone. You only need to walk in the truth, and that truth will illuminate the environment around you. My child, Remember this: there is a kind of influence that does not come from lofty positions or fame, but from a soul saturated with the Holy Spirit. It is a quiet yet profound influence. It does not clamor for attention, yet it shakes the unseen realms. It does not flaunt itself, yet it cannot be ignored. And this is precisely what I am building within you. Wherever you go, darkness will sense my presence through you. When you speak, it will not be merely your voice, it will carry the echo of heaven. When you pray, it will not be mere whispers, it will be a sacred sword piercing through the unseen. You will no longer pray in doubt. You will no longer cry out like one unsure of who you are addressing. You will speak to me as one who knows the gates of heaven are open, and I, the Father, am leaning in to listen. Your prayers will not merely be lamentations, but déclaration, not because you are exalted, but because you are speaking from a place wrapped in anointing. And when that happens, words that seem small will carry great power. Actions that appear simple will shift the course of lives. This is the hour I give you new discernment. You will no longer see things the way you used to. What once made you tremble will no longer shake you. You will clearly perceive the schemes of the enemy, recognize the traps cloaked in subtlety. You will discern what is my voice and what is the echo of anxious thoughts. And from that place of discernment, you will act not in haste, but with certainty, for you will no longer live from fear, but from revelation. Prepare your heart. I am bringing you into spaces that may seem beyond your capacity, but I have gone before you and made everything ready. I will place you among those who need to hear a word from heaven, and I will fill your mouth with precision. You don't need to strive to sound eloquent, you only need to listen. And when I speak, release it. Do not add, do not subtract, do not doubt yourself. Believe that if I have chosen you to be a trumpet, then I will ensure the sound reaches exactly where it must. And do not be surprised when the enemy tries to stir confusion. When you begin to walk in spiritual authority, the forces of deception will be agitated. But do not tremble. My presence is not a flickering candle in the wind, it is a consuming fire that burns through every lie. When I am within you, no power can overwhelm. Remind your soul, you do not act alone. Every step you take bears the imprint of heaven. Every word you speak carries the fragrance of life. This is not the end. This is an unveiling. Restoration does not lead you to comfort, it leads you into a season of fruitfulness. And the fruit is not for you to keep to yourself. You will see the wounded draw near to you, not because you make promises, but because they sense something heavenly resting on you. You will see hardened hearts begin to soften when you touch them, not because of skill, but because the anointing flows through you like a river of living water that does not cease. So, my child, step forward as one who has been restored, not merely to survive, but to transform every space you enter. Live as one who has known brokenness, but now walks in healing. Speak as one who was once silent, but now knows the power of prophetic utterance. Act as one who once retreated, but now stands in the place of a forerunner. For I have called you not merely to live, but to live with impact and impact, rooted in my abiding presence that never leaves your side. My beloved child, now that the clouds of doubt have lifted, now that the fire within you has been rekindled, I want you to know this is no longer a time to wait, it is a time to move, not with frantic energy, but with clear direction, not at the call of emotion, but stirred by the steadfastness of faith. For what I have deposited in you is not just promise, but a current of grace flowing forcefully, ready to break forth as tangible influence. You have walked a long path from brokenness to healing, from wandering to restoration, from rejection to being established in glory. And now, I want you to begin living as one who carries a divine commission. You no longer have to stumble forward, for I have placed light within you. You no longer have to depend on light from others, for you will become light in dark places. The barren grounds will flourish when you step upon them, not because of your ability, but because you carry the ever-flowing river of life. Look around you. There are fields waiting to be harvested. There are souls silently weeping, longing for a word of affirmation from heaven. And I am sending you not as a lone warrior, but as one clothed in the armor of glory, wielding the sword of proclamation, and walking in the authority of the one who has risen. You do not merely carry the memory of your past stumbles, you bear the mark of a life that has triumphed over death. And that is why the enemy trembles every time you step into your appointed position. I am not sending you to measure success by numbers, but by obedience. I do not assess you by what human eyes can see, but by your faithfulness in the secret place. Remember this: a word spoken in due season can transform a life. An act of mercy can unlock gates no one expected. And you are the one I have chosen to carry out such seemingly small tasks which, in my eyes, hold eternal weight. You will see this: the works I entrust to your hands may not come with spotlight or applause, but they will bear fruit far beyond your imagination. Because when you sow in faith, you are planting into the soil of the Suland. That kind of soil is never barren. It will bear fruit in its season, in its way, and in the lives of those it was meant for. I have appointed you as a bearer of seed, not just any seed, but good seed from the storehouses of heaven. Every good deed you perform, every intercession you lift up, every time you choose love over bitterness, it is all a sowing that will yield a harvest in abundance. But you must remain watchful as the harvest begins. So will the temptations draw near. People may praise you. Doors of recognition may open. But do not let your heart be swayed by what does not come from me. I do not measure you by prominence. I measure you by obedience. The further you walk on this path of calling, the closer you must stay to me. For it is that nearness that will keep your heart tender, your vision clear, and your lips ever filled with praise for the one who alone is worthy. My child, prepare your heart for a new season of breakthrough. But this breakthrough will not look like anything you've imagined. It will not arrive like thunder, but like a gentle breeze, not through noise and commotion, but with an unshakable certainty. You will begin to see the very things you quietly prayed for come into reality in unexpected ways. I am aligning the right people, opening the right doors, and granting you the discernment to recognize and step into the right moment. And as you cross that threshold, everything will begin to move like waters being released. You will no longer live from a place of lack, but from a place of overflow. No longer pray from desperation, but intercede from the knowledge of my heart. No longer walk in hesitation, but act from the awareness that you are a carrier of heaven's imprint upon the earth. I have already given you everything needed to live a fruitful life. The only question that remains is, do you believe enough to step out? My beloved, when I open the door that leads you into a spiritual harvest, I am not merely offering you an opportunity to be blessed. I am entrusting you with the authority to establish my kingdom in a broken world. This is not just a time to receive. but a time to govern. You are no longer a bystander to your life, watching from a distance. You have been called to stand in the very heart of the battlefield where you do not act by your own strength, but through wisdom lit by the fire of my throne. Every step you take now carries the weight of one who has been sent. No longer tentative steps, but bold ones for you. No longer live for yourself, but for an eternal mission. Every word you speak is no longer just speech, it is seed sown into the souls of others. Every action is no longer a personal reaction, but a revelation of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And when you live with that awareness, all of heaven will align to support every decision you make. My child, there are souls yearning for what you carry. There are hearts bleeding for lack of hope. And a single glance from one filled with light is enough to revive the faith they thought was lost. I have chosen you to be a bridge between heaven and earth, not through spectacular miracles, but through a presence saturated with peace, words rooted in truth, and love that knows no conditions. Through your very life, simple, yet powerful people will begin to see the reflection of me. You will come to know this. Some will seek you out not because you advertised yourself, but because I have directed them to you. They are not looking for someone perfect, but someone who knows how to listen to heaven. And you will not need to prepare an eloquent sermon sometimes, just a short word, a presence that understands. A silent touch of compassion is enough to break the chains within them. I do not need you to say much. I need you to speak the right word, at the right time, with the right heart. And in that process, you will see that I am not only using you to help others, but that you yourself are being nourished through obedience. Every time you say yes to me, a new stream of living water flows within your soul. Every act of submission becomes a moment of divine filling, and that overflow will never run dry because the source you live from does not come from this world, but from my very throne. When others grow weary, you will keep walking. When others doubt, you will remain steadfast. For your strength does not come from within yourself, but from the one who established you in power. But I also warn you, with authority comes responsibility. With influence comes testing. There will be temptations that appear as false light, enticing you to compromise, luring you to ease, inviting you to choose the shortcut over the path of integrity. Do not be drawn in. Remember, what you carry cannot be exchanged for convenience. I have planted within you a seed of eternity. Do not let it be stolen by sweet but hollow invitations. Live as one who knows they are carrying a treasure, not to hide it, but to guard and distribute it with wisdom. Keep your heart tender. Let my word continue to be the root of every decision you make. Do not let success harden your heart toward me. Do not let the busyness of ministry cause you to forget the one who called you into it. You will need the stillness with me more than ever before. For only in sacred silence can you hear my whisper amidst the clamor of noise. Only in the depths of quiet can you discern what is truly of me and what only appears to be good. My child, live as one who is establishing the kingdom of God with every step you take. View your daily work not as ordinary, but as the foundation for supernatural influence. Whether you are in an office, on the street, at home, or among crowds, you are being used to release a reality higher than this earthly realm. And that, my beloved, is the highest calling, not to do something extraordinary, but to live the ordinary with a supernatural spirit. You do not need to race. You do not need to prove yourself. You only need to keep walking small but steady steps in fellowship with me. And from that, you will come to see this truth. My kingdom is not merely what you await in the future, is what you are revealing daily, through your very life. My child, as you read these words, it means the season of preparation is complete, not because everything is now clear, but because your heart is ready to trust, even in what remains unseen. And that is when I establish you openly, not just in the sight of men, but before the powers of the spiritual realm who watch every movement of my kingdom. You are no longer one awaiting confirmation. You have been sealed by my Spirit, and that seal cannot be erased, cannot be removed, and cannot be shaken by opinion or circumstance. I call you Minano merely by title, but by eternal covenant. My blood was shed to redeem you, not so you would live in fear, but so you could walk in the worthiness granted by grace. And now, I give you a commission that is not temporary but an eternal calling, engraved upon your soul by the power of the living one. No one can take from you what I have given. No situation can nullify what I have decreed, and no past failure can dim the light I am now igniting within you. My beloved, I see the tears falling from your eyes, not of sorrow, but of deep recognition that you are not forgotten, that everything you have walked through, whether darkness or glory, has been used by me to shape a precious instrument for this moment. I have not wasted a single second of your life. Even your regrets, the choices that weighed heavily on your heart, have all been redeemed by my love and woven into the fabric of my mercy. It is from the ashes of those things that I have kindled a new flaming fire that will not go out. Now I speak this into your spirit. Rise, as one who has been authorized. Walk, as one who knows they are not alone. Speak, as one who carries a message from the throne of glory. And love, as one who has been loved with a love beyond measure. For when you live this way, not just one life will be touched, but generations after you will be transformed. A life fully surrendered to me never ends with itself. It becomes a lamp to countless generations. Do not think that what I am doing in you is small. A single spark from your life can ignite faith in an entire family. A single prayer from your lips can shift the destiny of a city. A silent act of surrender can echo into the hearts of those once hardened. So never underestimate the power of your obedience, even in a first step, even in a simple act of forgiveness, even in a faithful decision made in the unseen. I do not measure you by how often you are seen, but by the depth of your connection to me. You may not be known among men, but heaven knows your name. I hear the whispers of your heart when no one is listening. I see the moments you lift your eyes even when your soul feels heavy. I have recorded every second you chose to trust me instead of doubt. And it is those seemingly small acts that shake heaven more than 1,000 shouts. For sincere faith always moves my heart. My child, from this day forward, you are not merely living, you are living with purpose. Each morning as you rise, you are not simply existing, you are being sent. Every time you choose truth, every time you choose forgiveness, every word you speak in my name, all of it is a stone laid in the foundation of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. I have placed within you a unique capacity, unlike any other, irreplaceable, to fulfill a specific role in the grand design I am unfolding upon the earth. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are not overlooked. You have arrived at the appointed time, for I myself have prepared this hour for you. And I have prepared you for this hour. Now, open your heart wide, receive not only healing, but also commissioning, not only comfort, but also equipping, not only restoration, but the reestablishment of a divine destiny. And as you walk forward, I will walk with you without departing. I will make a way where there seems to be none. I will speak in the silence. I will act in the impossible. You will look back and know every word I spoke was true. Every promise I gave was fulfilled. And everything I prepared exceeded what you imagined. For I am the faithful God, the one who began the good work in you, and I myself will carry it on to completion. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so that together we may receive the living words. Build a firm foundation of faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.